Hello, good morning, and welcome to this Dawn Busters Taste Challenge. We have two Espadín mezcals. Now they're running around the same price, about 27 on the low end, 30 high end. So typical price for mezcal. This is El Silencio with its very nice looking black bottle, black glass bottle, painted. I think it's painted. Embossed, fancy, but with a twist cap, plastic twist cap. But this is from Casa Silencio. Okay, introduced in 2013. There's also a clear bottle called the Ensemble, which is a blend of different mezcals. That's 80 proof. This one's 83, 86 proof, 43% alcohol, 43% alcohol. Herbie says, hi, hello to you. What's the time there? 5:36 a.m. Central Standard Time. All right. Here's Las Tonas. Yes, this is at a number of stores in the New Orleans area. That means the colors, the tones, the colors. It's got the neoprene stopper, not real cork. It's got a wooden cap. This is 40% alcohol. It's joven, that means young, unaged. They just distill it, filter it, and bottle it. And this is Umbe the Coyote. Each version that they have has a different animal name. You understand? That's their theme, the animals. Okay, Mexican, wildlife. Okay, let me get my glasses, make sure I got my labels correct. Yes. Now, what I found with this Taste Challenge series is that it is nearly impossible to tell most of these one from another. You say, well, it's because you're bad at tasting. Maybe, but I think it's just that they're so similar one to another that you may as well just worry about the price. Shop price and disregard everything else. There's only one I wouldn't recommend, and that price was really low. But besides putting the thumbs down on Monty Alban, which seems to get worse every time I try it, deteriorates in the bottle. Besides that one, and I don't even know if I'm gonna be able to finish it. I'll go down as low as I can on it and then dump it. But it's 505 here, 505. But wouldn't everybody be at the same number? 5:38, 4:38 Mountain Time, 3:38 Pacific, and so forth. All right, anyway, this bottle is very dark brown if you look at the glass itself, but with the paint on it, it's black, They painted it. All right, sharp looking product. Gotta add a little more. Okay, so really, the cheapest one I bought, the cheapest one besides that thumbs downer, but the cheapest one was the what they call that? It's aged, the reposado, rested for a little bit. Oh, India time. You're in India. India. Very interesting. These are both clear, so appearance won't matter. I don't have to close my eyes. The Lajita. The Lajita was $19.99, but I think that was a misprice because right after I bought it, a month later, it jumped up to $27, and that's where it stayed. So Total Wine might have had it priced wrong, but we took advantage of it, Seems kind of strange that it would jump that much in price. I'm thinking, let's see. So that's a good one. The El Silencio is good, and that's running about $40, but Walmart got rid of it and sold it for $15. They just got rid of all their mezcals. They just say, we're not selling mezcal. Maybe it wasn't selling, but I took advantage of that. But that's a good one, great one. This Las Tonas is good. The El Silencio is so good. The Trader Joe's, you say Trader Joe's, that's a store brand, ain't no good. It is really good. Now, everything from Trader Joe's is not good. Every private label they have is not good, but it's hit or miss, but mostly hit, a few misses. Aldi's probably more misses because they're a cheaper store, but they're pretty good too. But the 400 rabbits coming up, the Conejos, that's a good one. That'll be the last one in the series. Trying to think of other mezcals I have. Um, they're all good. I have them in the other room. They're all good, except for Monty Alban. Once this is over with, and I think tomorrow, if everything works out correctly, tomorrow should be the last taste challenge for mezcal until next year sometime, probably in 5 to 6 months. Maybe not that long, but it seemed like it is going to be that long. And then we're on to rye whiskey. So stay tuned. Don't go away. Because, unless you're not interested, but rye whiskey is going to be very exciting. And I have the third edition of Old Overhaul Rye. I've got 3 bottles. They had 3 different versions in only 2 years. Can you believe it? In 2020, they phased out the 80 proof and replaced it with an 86 proof 3-year age non-chill filtered. That only lasted 2 years, and they replaced that with a 4-year age 86 proof non-chill filtered. So I got to do those 3. Did I notice a big difference? Not really, but I'm going to still do the taste challenge because that's how you do the tournament. You do the whole tournament. You play all the games. It's like a college football season. You play every game. Even if it's a team that has won only 1 game the whole year, you still play them in that 12th game. And sometimes you'll get surprises. The team that you think is so bad, then you get beat by them and you think, can you believe it? That's the challenge of it. Okay, so then we'll be on to bourbon, and I have an exciting bourbon, which is no longer produced, but you can find it on the shelves, still on the shelves. 12-hour difference. Man, you're halfway around the world, the other side of the world. All right, but anyway, I appreciate you watching all the way from India. And I do wish we would get Indian beers. We get a few, Flying Horse, Taj Mahal, but man, we don't really get too many that we should get. It would be nice if we would, like Kingfisher. We get Kingfisher, but it's a contract brew. It's made in New York by a contractor that's in affiliation with Kingfisher of India. Just like we used to get it from California. There used to be one Kingfisher came from California, from a brewery that contracted, but they went out of business. That Mendocino Brewing actually went out of business. They no longer exist. I thought their beers were all right. Kind of a dirty taste, like they weren't totally filtered, but they were interesting, and but people didn't like them, I guess. Or their beers were too traditional, or they didn't make all these hazy IPAs and they faded away. Kind of like Shipyard. You used to see Shipyard everywhere. Now you don't see Shipyard except for their Smash Pumpkin or Pumpkinhead in the fall period, late summer, early fall. I always liked Shipyard. Other people ragged on it because their beers were too peculiar because they used a strange type of yeast and whatnot and hops. But hey, why does everything have to be the same? That's what I don't understand. It's like the beer world. Oh, I like craft beer because it's different. But then when it's different, people complain. Well, you just said you like craft beer because it's different, but now you're complaining because that brewery stuff is different and strange. Well, so, but I'll say one thing about these mezcals again, they're not different. They're all like the same. I guess that's how mezcal is, Not complaining because they're all good, but to say that It's a big difference. Each brand I buy, nah, it's like the same thing with different labels. Yeah. And there we go. Juicy agave nectar. It just smells like agave in it, and that's what it is. Agave juice. Fermented, then distilled, which is literally what is happening here. And then, of course, filtered, because that's why it's so clear. All right. Same, but a little more smokiness, I do believe. A little more smokiness. A warning about mezcal: if you're the kind of person that hates scotch because you've encountered smoky scotches and they just turn you off, don't mess with mezcal because it's going to turn you off. If you're into smokiness, mezcal might be right up your alley because it is, most of them, or at least somewhat smoky. And then they got some that are full bore smoky. So that's really the biggest difference between these, the smoky level. Because they roast the pinas, the hearts of the plant, in these ovens, these conical ovens underground. They put it, it's like dug into the ground, and they let them smolder for days. It was a very interesting process. Zach says, "Good morning, Ron. Happy holidays. I like variety in the beers. Variety is the spice of life, they say. Wish we could still find Shipyard." Yeah, they're still in business, but they weren't trendy enough. Okay. And it could have been other problems like management issues, like with Red Hook. We used to get all their beers, and they were always exciting and delicious, but it was like overnight. They had Red Hook in all the stores, and the next day, no store had it. Bizarre. Same thing happened with Southern Tier. Same thing happened with Victory. It was like the word got out: don't send these beers to Louisiana. We don't like Louisiana. All right, this is smoky and agave-ish. Smoky and agave-ish. Medium body, light to medium body, easy going, mild, mellow. Got to remember, one is 80 proof, one is 86 proof. In other words, 40% alcohol, 43% alcohol. Is that going to make a difference? Probably not much of one. Olive Fire Wayne says, cheers. Cheers to you. Cheers, y'all. Well. A little less smoky. I'm not going to sit here and pretend like either one of these is super smoky because they're not. There's a little bit of smoke and even less of it. The predominant flavor is agave nectar. Is that some kind of thing in a drink that I love? I wouldn't say that. I don't hate it. I'm not, like amazed by it, like, oh, I gotta have more. I just love it. It's so wonderful. Nah, it's kind of like it's all right. I mean, a lot of these I score them an A, because they're most excellent. Obviously, it's just not my kind of thing. Nah, it's kind of like it's all right. I mean, a lot of these I score them an A, because they're most excellent. Obviously, it's just not my kind of thing. Am I sorry that I started trying mezcals? No, I'm not sorry about it. But I could live without it. Same thing with tequila. I like it. Um, but is tequila a whole lot different from mezcal? It'd be like saying white grits is a whole lot different than yellow corn grits. Not really. One is white, one is yellow, but beyond that, really, what I could really do, I'm not going to because it would just corrupt the whole series and take forever. I could take tequila and put them up against mezcal and vice versa. Would I be able to tell them apart? That would be the thing. I'm really not sure I could tell them apart. Maybe. I'm not going to do it because I don't like the cross style, although that's hardly cross styling. But these things are like brother and sister. They're the closest relatives you could have without being the same person, really. You know what I'm saying? They're like their alter ego. And in fact, that makes sense because tequila is a type of mezcal, okay? It is a type of mezcal. If you've had tequila, you've had mezcal, okay? Simple as that. It's like if you've been to Florida, you've been to the United States. But if you've been to the United States, you haven't necessarily been to Florida. You get the point? So there you go. Like I've had people ask me, do you prefer bourbon or whiskey? The question makes no sense. Bourbon is a type of whiskey. I think what they mean is, do I prefer bourbon or other types of whiskey? But I think people should be specific in what they're asking. And there's a lot of people that don't seem to understand what bourbon is. I've talked to people. One guy was telling me about this rye whiskey. He was telling me about a rye. I can't remember the brand. This was years ago. He used to be a salesman for Anheuser-Busch Southern Eagle distributorship for that, but he quit because I think it was too much pressure and it was really getting on his nerves. He went and started selling countertops, which apparently he likes doing. Still selling, you know. But he said, I love this rye whiskey. It's a great bourbon. I said, well, you know, rye is not a bourbon. Rye whiskey is a different type of whiskey. And then he was calling me wrong, you know, like, you're wrong, you're wrong. I said, and I took my wallet out. I said, see that $20? That says I'm right. Well, it was good nature. You know, we were never hostile with each other. But see, I would never bet if I didn't know the answer already. See, I'm not a gambler. If I make a bet with you, that means I definitely know the truth about it. Otherwise, I wouldn't take the risk. I just don't. Like people say, you want to bet on the game? I say, no. I said I thought the Saints were going to win. I don't know if they're going to win. I'm not betting money, okay? I could afford it. I just don't want to do it. So the next time I saw him at work, he tells me, oh, hey, Ronald, you're right. It is a different type of whiskey. I said, I told you. I said the $20 should have meant something right then because I never bet unless I'm 100% sure. And I told him that. I said, if you ever see me do that, that means I know. Okay. Because if I'm not sure, I'll just say I'm not sure. I don't try to play games like I pretend I know stuff I don't know. I'll just say I don't know. And B, I would never show the money. When I taught high school, students would ask me questions sometimes. And if I didn't know the answer, I would tell them I don't know, but I'll look it up or I'll do some research. You know, I'm not going to sit there and pretend I know stuff that I don't know. And I used to always tell them that. Check the teacher. Every time a teacher tells you something doesn't mean they know what they're talking about. I mean, you hope they would. I said, but look, if I say something in class and you think I'm wrong, check me on it. I don't get offended. I told them I don't get offended. If you say, look, I don't think that's right, I'm not going to get offended. Now, if you say it the wrong way because you don't have a good sense of manners, you know, that's a problem. But that's not because you asked the question. It's the way you asked it. You know, some people don't know how to interact with others. And I would try to set them straight on that. And that worked out because they knew that I knew what I was talking about. A lady at the store one time told me, my sons love bourbon. Okay. A lot of people do. And she's telling me, and you know, now she brings up these other points on her own volition. She says, and you know, all bourbon has to come from Bourbon County, Kentucky, or she might have just said Kentucky. I said, well, actually, bourbon can come from any state, although it traditionally comes from Kentucky. Legally, it could come from any state. Well, she got angry and she told me, you're wrong. I said, I'm not wrong. She said, I know what I'm talking about. Bourbon has to come from Kentucky. Now I said, hey, I'll tell you what. I said, would you like the website link? I can give you the web address for the U.S. government's definition of bourbon, because bourbon is a legal definition. That's all it is. Oh, she just was enraged and said, I'm not talking about this. Okay, fine. Don't talk about it. But you know, if I'm right, I'm not going to back down. I'm just not going to back down. But I'm not going to, you know, I'm not going to be hostile about it and say you're stupid and start putting people down. I'm not going to do that either, but I'm not going to back down. Okay, sort of like all spring water is water, but not all water is spring water. Correct. Although most bottled water comes from a faucet, but people buy it because it's in a bottle. That's the amazing thing. I cannot get over that. You know, these days people will not drink water from a faucet, and they spend a fortune every month buying bottled water. Fine, don't matter to me. But they'll tell me that's artesian water. I said, what do you think that word means? They don't know. It's some fancy word. I said, you know, artesian just means it comes out the ground. Where do you think most faucet water comes from in your town? My town, it comes from a well. Yeah, there's a well dug hundreds of feet, I would imagine, underground in Rudock, Louisiana. It's fresh water. It's artesian water. But then they'll say, well, you know, they filter with reverse osmosis. I said, your faucet water is filtered with reverse osmosis. I've shown people on the bottle. I said, look what this bottle says. Municipal water supply, Atlanta, Georgia. I said, where do you think Coca-Cola's getting this water from? But they'll buy it because it's in a bottle. I said to some people at work, I said, I need to start a water company and bottle faucet water, and I can make $1 million a month. Sort of like all bourbon is whiskey, but not all whiskey is bourbon. Correct. Same principle. Okay, now which one of these is better? This is impossible to say. I love this one. Tastes great for mezcal, which I'm not really a big fan of mezcal, but it tastes fine. You know, it's wonderful. Nice. It's like wheat beer. I don't like wheat beer, but I can tell a good one from a bad one, you know. But I'll just soon never drink wheat beer. I could still tell good from bad. You know, you can tell quality on stuff if you got any kind of sense or any sort of discernment. Yeah. I don't know, man. This is a total draw. I'm not going to pretend that I know. I think I really don't know, but I think maybe, possibly, perhaps it could be the case. I'm going to say this is the El Silencio. Probably I should be silent, but I'm going to say this is the El Silencio. And I hope I don't get it wrong because that's going to kill my average. But hey, you do 10 products and they're all almost identical. I don't know how you're going to have a good average. You might think you're a genius, but you might not be. Well, I got it. I got it. That was a close call if they ever had one. It's kind of like the Battle of Waterloo. The British general, what was his name? Wellington, Lord Wellington, the Duke of Wellington. He was crowned a duke. I mean, he was made a duke after the battle as an honor. He said that was about the closest run thing ever. You know, like that was a battle that could have gone either way down to the last minute. Like it wasn't any kind of, you had no confidence up to the end of the battle if you're going to win. And that changed the whole world. You see, that one little battle like that changed the whole course of the world. Is that the same thing? Is that the same as saying tequila is mezcal, but not all mezcal is tequila? Correct. That's right. We have a winner. We have a winner. See y'all tomorrow. We'll see y'all in about 4 hours for 3.5 hours for Super Sunday.